You know what the difference is between me and most entrepreneurs? Larry Ellison said, cutting his steak with surgical precision. Most entrepreneurs try to avoid competition. I hunt it down and destroy it. He leaned forward with that famous intensity. In the 2000s, I spent $25 billion acquiring my competitors, PeopleSoft, Siebel, Sun Microsystems. People called me ruthless. I called it strategic. When you own the competition, you own the market. Tonight, I'm having dinner with Larry Ellison, co-founder and executive chairman of Oracle Corporation, one of the world's largest software companies. We're at an upscale restaurant overlooking San Francisco Bay, and he's about to share the story of how an abandoned child built a database empire worth $400 billion through what he calls strategic ruthlessness. Tell me about that philosophy, hunting down competition, I said, genuinely intrigued by this aggressive approach to business. Ellison's eyes reflected the same intensity that had made him one of Silicon Valley's most feared competitors. Most CEOs play defense. They worry about protecting market share, maintaining relationships, being liked by competitors. I play offense. I identify threats and eliminate them before they become problems. He took a sip of wine, something expensive that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. This mindset didn't develop overnight. It came from my childhood. I was born in the Bronx to an unwed 19-year-old mother. At 9 months old, I got pneumonia, and she gave me away to her aunt and uncle in Chicago. That must have been traumatic. You have no idea. My adoptive father, Larry Ellison, constantly told me I'd never amount to anything. Larry, you're a dreamer. You'll never succeed. Those words burned into my soul. I decided early that I would prove him wrong, no matter what it took. Ellison paused, remembering something painful. I was a good student, named Science Student of the Year at University of Illinois. But when my adoptive mother died during my sophomore year, I fell apart, dropped out without taking finals, tried University of Chicago, dropped out again. My father's prediction seemed to be coming true. What changed? California, 1966. I moved to Berkeley with almost no money, just a basic understanding of computer programming I'd picked up in Chicago. For the next decade, I bounced between jobs, Wells Fargo, Amdahl Corporation, Ampex. I was learning, but I was also getting frustrated. The first course arrived, something that looked like art on a plate. At Ampex in the early 70s, everything changed. I was assigned to work on a database project for the CIA, codenamed Oracle. That's when I discovered Edgar Codd's research paper on relational database systems. What made that paper special? Codd had figured out how to organize data in tables, rows, and columns that could be connected and searched efficiently. IBM had this research but wasn't commercializing it fast enough. I saw the opportunity. That's when you started Oracle? 1977, I convinced 2 colleagues from Ampex, Bob Miner and Ed Oates, to join me. We called ourselves Software Development Laboratories. Total investment, $2,000. My contribution, $1,200, basically everything I had. What was the business plan? Ellison laughed. We didn't have one. We just knew that every business in the world would eventually need sophisticated database systems. IBM was too slow. Everyone else was too small. We could beat them all. How did you get your first customers? The CIA contract helped establish credibility. But the real breakthrough was finishing that project a year ahead of schedule and using the extra time to develop a commercial version. We called it Oracle Database. When did you realize you had something massive? 1980. We had 8 employees and less than $1 million in revenue. Then IBM decided to license Oracle for their mainframe systems. Suddenly, we had the validation of the world's largest computer company. The main course arrived. Ellison had ordered something that required multiple pieces of silverware. That's when the aggressive growth started. Revenue doubled every year for 7 straight years. By 1986, we went public and raised $31.5 million. But success made us cocky. What happened? We got addicted to growth. Our sales team started booking future revenue in current quarters to hit targets and maximize bonuses. Classic accounting manipulation. By 1990, we had to restate earnings twice. Stock price collapsed. We were 48 hours from bankruptcy. Hey, how did you handle that crisis? I fired half the management team, restructured operations, and implemented real financial controls. It was brutal, but necessary. That crisis taught me something crucial. Growth without discipline is just a path to destruction. That experience shaped your acquisition strategy? Exactly. Instead of competing with everyone, I decided to buy them, but I would do it strategically, with proper due diligence and integration planning. Tell me about the PeopleSoft acquisition. That was controversial. Ellison's expression hardened. PeopleSoft was trying to merge with J.D. Edwards to create a competitor that could challenge Oracle. I couldn't let that happen, so I made an unsolicited bid for PeopleSoft. They fought back hard. For 18 months, they called me every name in the book: hostile, predatory, ruthless. Their CEO, Craig Conway, made it personal. But I knew that if PeopleSoft succeeded in their merger, they would become a permanent threat. How did you finally win? Persistence in math. I kept raising my offer until their shareholders couldn't refuse. Final price, $10.3 billion, worth every penny because we eliminated a major competitor and gained access to their customer base. What about Siebel? That was even more contentious. Tom Siebel was my former employee who had started a CRM company. He knew Oracle's weaknesses and was exploiting them effectively. I offered $5.8 billion. He resisted initially, but eventually realized that being part of Oracle was better than competing against Oracle. Sun Microsystems was your biggest acquisition. $7.4 billion for Sun. That wasn't just about eliminating competition. That was about gaining Java programming language and Solaris operating system. Sun had incredible technology but terrible business execution. How do you decide which companies to acquire? 3 criteria: strategic threat assessment, technology value, and cultural fit. If a company threatens Oracle's core business, has technology we need, and can be integrated without destroying our culture, we acquire them. Some critics called your strategy anti-competitive. Ellison shrugged. Competition isn't about being nice, it's about winning. Would you rather I let inferior companies survive and provide worse service to customers? Consolidation creates efficiency and innovation. What about the human cost? Acquisitions usually mean layoffs. We always try to retain the best talent, but yes, redundancies are eliminated. That's basic business efficiency. The alternative is multiple weak companies instead of one strong company. How has Oracle's strategy evolved since those major acquisitions? Cloud computing changed everything. We couldn't acquire our way into the cloud. We had to build it. Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud were already established. We had to compete through innovation, not acquisition. That must have been challenging for someone who preferred buying competitors. It forced me to think differently. Instead of eliminating competition, I had to out-innovate them. We rebuilt Oracle's entire infrastructure for cloud computing. It took years and billions of dollars. What's Oracle's competitive advantage in the cloud? Enterprise focus. Amazon built cloud for startups and web companies. Microsoft built cloud for their existing customers. We built cloud specifically for large enterprises with complex data needs. How do you maintain that competitive edge? Continuous innovation and strategic partnerships. We can't acquire our way to victory anymore, so we have to build better products and serve customers more effectively than anyone else. Let's talk about your management style. How do you lead a company with 140,000 employees? I hire smart people and give them clear objectives. I'm not interested in consensus building or making everyone comfortable. I'm interested in results. That sounds demanding. Excellence is demanding. If you want mediocrity, work somewhere else. Oracle employees know they're expected to perform at the highest level. In return, they get to work on cutting-edge technology and be well compensated. What about work-life balance? I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life integration. If you're passionate about what you do, work doesn't feel like work. If you're not passionate, you're in the wrong job. How has the tech industry changed since you started Oracle? It's become much more competitive and fast-moving. In the 80s and 90s, you could dominate a market for years. Now, disruption happens constantly. You have to innovate continuously or become irrelevant quickly. What about your personal interests? I know you're passionate about sailing. Oracle Team USA won the America's Cup twice, 2010 and 2013. The 2013 victory was incredible. We came back from an 8-1 deficit to win 9-8, greatest comeback in sports history. Why sailing? Sailing requires the same skills as business: strategy, teamwork, adaptation to changing conditions, and relentless pursuit of marginal improvements. Plus, it's the ultimate competition between man, machine, and nature. You also own most of the Hawaiian island of Lanai. 98% of it. I'm trying to create a sustainable, self-sufficient community powered entirely by renewable energy. It's an experiment in how technology can create better ways of living. What drives you now at this stage of your career? Legacy and competition. I want Oracle to outlast me and continue leading the industry. And I still love beating competitors. Age doesn't diminish that competitive fire. Any regrets about your aggressive business approach? None. Business isn't charity. If you're not trying to win, you're wasting everyone's time and money. My job is to build the best company possible, not to make friends with competitors. What advice do you give to young entrepreneurs? Don't be afraid to compete with established companies. Study their weaknesses, build better products, and execute more effectively. David can beat Goliath if David is smarter and more determined. What about dealing with failure? Failure is information. Every failure teaches you something about what doesn't work. Use that knowledge to avoid similar mistakes and make better decisions next time. Final question. If you could go back to that 9-month-old child being given away, what would you tell him? Ellison paused, his expression softening slightly. I'd tell him that abandonment doesn't define you. Your response to abandonment defines you. That child's pain will become a man's strength if he chooses to use it constructively rather than destructively. And the business lesson? That competition isn't personal, it's strategic. You can respect your competitors as people while trying to destroy them as businesses. The market rewards winners, not nice guys. As dinner concluded, Ellison reflected on his philosophy. People often ask if I regret being so aggressive in business, but aggression built Oracle into one of the world's most valuable companies. If I had been passive and collaborative, Oracle would be a footnote in tech history instead of a leader shaping the future. This evening with Larry Ellison reinforced my understanding that in highly competitive industries, sometimes the most successful strategy isn't innovation or customer service. It's the systematic elimination of competition through superior execution and strategic acquisitions. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos to hear the most private dinner conversations where billionaires reveal their deepest secrets. Which part inspired you the most? Drop it in the comments. Let's figure out how to become billionaires together.